Good morning. Welcome for doing tea and tarot this morning. Every 2 weeks, I go to the cards to find out what's happening on planet Earth and in our lives. So, for those that are new, in a few moments, I'll be going to the cards in a very general way to answer questions and themes of things that are going on in our lives. So, it's not a personal oracle card reading in that I'm answering your personal questions. I do one-on-one sessions for that. This is more of a general feeling of what's going on. But if you have a personal question you want an answer to, just set an intention or put that out there. Very often people find that those questions are answered during this session. Let's jump into the cards. Let's go to the cards and ask Spirit for some advice and guidance on how to manage the next 2 weeks and what to expect. For those who are new, I have a lot of decks to choose from. So for those who have been here a lot, if there's a particular deck that you want to see, just leave a message in the comments. I try to check the comments as I go. But I'm feeling drawn to start with the Magdalene Oracle this morning. This is one of my oldest decks. I really love it. I love the artwork. Let me just grab the case so I can show you. Tony Carmine Salerno is the author of this, or the illustrator of this deck, and it's very beautiful. Also, I have another deck called the Universal Love deck, which I'll go to later, by the same illustrator, and I just really love the images. And when you're choosing your own deck, really it doesn't matter what deck you start with. Some people are like, oh, you need to start with an easier deck and work your way up to the more complicated ones, but honestly it's whatever deck calls to you that you feel drawn to, that you're excited about, because then you're going to want to work with it. So the card that I pulled to kick off this morning is the Transformation card. And you can see there's, the dark trees in the forefront here, and then there's this beautiful golden light in the background, and it almost looks like white birds in the sky. It could be clouds, but to me it looks like a flock of doves or a flock of white birds. And when I connect to this card, I'm feeling like this is a definite rebirth for all of us, but just like birth, it's not always comfortable. For those of you who've had children, you know this. Sometimes having a baby can be a piece of cake. Other times it can be, like running a marathon up a mountain without having eaten anything and not sleeping for 3 days. So it can be quite strenuous. So what's happening right now is we're having transformation individually in our own lives, but also collectively as a universal consciousness. And so some of us are going to be feeling like our lives are great right now, but we're still feeling everybody else's sort of labor pains or what's going on with them. And other people are going to be really caught in the undertow. Like some people are really getting slammed by this energy. So to all the healers and light workers out there, you've probably noticed this already, that people are reaching out to you more, or that they're in a really kind of heavy place with everything. Because this transformation card, for us to pop through and out the other side, we have to move through our heaviness. And our heaviness is our heavy emotional stuff we've been carrying with us. Some of it you might not even realize you've been sort of dragging it around with you. So, and it's a lot to work with. So use your supports, your friends, your healers, your counselors, whoever you need to lean on as you move through this. But because we're in a full moon energy right now, it's Scorpio, very watery, very emotional, bringing everything to the surface. I know it's not a fire sign, but I'm a big believer in burning things. So now that the weather's nicer, if you have the opportunity to have a bonfire in your backyard, this is the perfect time to just write down everything on paper that you want to release and be done with forever, and have a nice big bonfire and just burn that stuff. Just let it go. Or have some other ritual where you're releasing something. Maybe you're planting something in the earth or burying something in the earth to let it go. Maybe you're, like a message in a bottle, or making a little boat out of paper and sailing it down the river. Whatever works for you. In Peru, they do offerings for the earth called despachos, which is a bunch of sacred items wrapped up in paper that is then burned or either buried or tucked away somewhere in nature. And the idea is that it's an offering to the spirits, and the spirits come and consume it, and then all that energy is released. In our case, because we're going through this, we're birthing this huge transformation so that we don't get stuck in the energy, because like I said, the energy is very heavy. So you need to do whatever you can do to keep your vibe high right now. But this is the time to purge. This is the time to let stuff go. So it's perfect that it's spring, right? Because in spring, we all get that kind of spring cleaning feeling, at least on one of the days we do when it's not snowing in Ontario. But clean out those closets, refresh, let stuff go. If you can't donate it at the donation centers yet, if things are closed, then just bag it and get it in your shed or your garage or the back of your car. But start making space, because we're being asked to release things in order for this transformation to occur, because we are going to where the energy is a lot lighter, but the getting there, for some of us, it might take more effort, or it might feel like it's a slow process. But don't give up on it. It is happening. We will move through it. But some of us are feeling the collective energy too, which is a lot right now. So if you've been feeling a little off kilter lately and your life is fine and you're wondering what's going on, you're probably sensitive and feeling the energy of the whole right now, which is there's a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. And I know there has been all through COVID, but especially right now, things have been coming to the surface, and there's a lot of volatile energy, I guess let's call it that, out there. Okay, so just hang in there with that. So now I'm going to this deck. This is the, pardon me, I'm losing my voice a little bit here because I haven't been talking to anybody for so long. This is a Kyle Gray deck. This is an angel deck. What is it called? Not the Keepers of the Light. Angel, I want to give you the right name for it. The Angel Guide Oracle. It's a new deck to me. That's why I was like, what is it called? I love the beautiful orange on the back of the card. It's very different. I think I used this deck 2 weeks ago too, because it's still new. It's still a little sticking together here. So for those who are new, you notice that I just fan out the cards and choose one. This is just one of many ways of working with your oracle card decks. You can shuffle them and deal them out, but I like to fan them out and then kind of just pull the one that I'm being drawn to. That's what I do when I do a one card reading. If I'm doing a 3-card reading or a longer reading, I have a different approach. But okay, so intuition and downloads. So this is also affecting a lot of us too, especially a lot of the sensitives, a lot of the healers, a lot of the intuitives, and especially the empaths out there right now, okay? If you're getting headaches, if you're feeling like your brain is foggy, if you've been having more anxiety or depression than is normal, if you've been having like feelings of hopelessness or heaviness, this is really normal right now, because you're picking up on kind of all that stuff happening around you. But it's also, Spirit's also working with us to expand our intuition and increase our ability to download that information and energy from that universal source as well to help us. So we're getting that assistance from Spirit, but sometimes you won't feel it, because as your intuition expands, you become more sensitive to things. So it's a bit of a catch-22. It's like, yay, my intuition's expanding. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling everything in the world times 100 now. I just want to crawl in a hole and call me in a week kind of thing. So learning to manage your energy is key here. And this is hard for a lot of us, especially the healers. I struggle with this myself. You have to take some time for yourself and be okay with that, and being okay with saying to people, you know what, I need a couple days. I can't talk to anyone. I need to get off social media, or whatever works for you, however you recharge. But you might need to take that time, and you might, and I'm encouraging you to do that, because if you don't do that, you might find that you end up getting so overloaded that you end up getting sick, or you just, you have to take that time. So it's much better to take that time if it's planned by yourself, and you can carve out the time that suits, rather than having something happen and, you have to take that time off. But we're being asked to take some time and take some space, because we're going through a very energetic transformation here that is being assisted by Spirit, and this can create a lot of fatigue as well. So I know I'm making it sound like it's a horrible thing. It's like, yeah, your intuition's expanding and you're going to be picking up on more stuff, but you're going to feel like total crap. And it's kind of the truth, because your physical body's changing, your energy body's changing, your spiritual body's changing, everything's changing. And it's weird when it's happening in the invisible and you can't see it, because you're, when you're sick with a cold or something, you're like, well, it makes sense. My nose is running and I have a headache, and, you can reconcile that. But when you have all these weird aches and pains and different symptoms going on in your body that don't make sense, a lot of it is the physical manifestation of spirit opening us up, okay? And this is going to happen more to those of you who've been asking for your intuition to expand, or you've been asking for that spiritual opening. You're going to have the physical symptoms. So you're not going crazy. You know, some of you might want to go to the doctor and get checked out because you're having physical symptoms that are alarming to you. And I always advise people, go get stuff checked out if you need to, okay? It's peace of mind. The worst thing that can happen is they say that, you know, nothing's wrong with you. Well, that's good to know, right? But a lot of you are going to have weird physical things that are really going to be nothing, and they will pass. So how do you manage this? Like, how do you deal with this sort of spiritual opening that you're feeling physically? Honestly, the best remedy for this is to take some time every day where you can just be quiet with yourself in meditation, whether it's laying down on a couch or bed and having a guided meditation where you're just sort of receiving the energy and let it move through you, having a healing session, laying outside in nature in a hammock, blanket on the ground, or just sitting somewhere in nature and letting the trees and the earth help you process through it. Those are the best ways. Getting in a bath, getting in water. You know, like, you can avoid it, like you can like try to push yourself physically and do too much, or just mentally avoid it by like going on a Netflix binge. But what's going to happen is you're still going to be feeling it. You'll move through it a lot faster if you just allow yourself to breathe and move through it. So meditation is really good. Even going for a walk, getting the energy moving. If you can't, if you're feeling overwhelmed with everything, then get a guided meditation. There's a lot of free ones online. Lay down, get a cozy blanket, and just like do a bunch of those. Have a nap. Let yourself do that. Give yourself permission to do that. I know a lot of you are busy right now working from home. Your kids are at home. It's crazy. You're like, oh my God, how am I going to find time to do this? You just do. I remember doing this with my kids crawling all over me on the ground, like when they were little. Or I'd put a little show on for them, and then I'm literally in the next room trying to meditate, and I put the timer on the microwave, and I'd be like, okay, don't touch mommy until the timer goes off, because they'd come and jump on me while I was mid-meditation, and it's kind of scary when that happens. So you can get creative, you know, to try and carve out that time for yourself, but try to, okay? And then you'll feel that physical stuff will move through faster. But we're being up-leveled or upgraded. Spirit's helping us. It's like when you get new software on your cell phone that upgrades your cell phone. It's happening in our bodies right now. So some of you will feel it physically. Some of you also will be feeling it intuitively, and with your third eye, you might be seeing sparkling lights, or feeling like you're seeing things and wondering if you have a brain tumor. And no, you don't probably, but like I said before, get checked out if anything that's happening physically is really stressing you out. But most of you, this is going to be like intuitive based shifting, okay? So just wanted to, that's happening to a lot of you, not just a couple of you, so keep that in mind. All right, I'm going to a new deck that it's called Moonology. And also too, guys, I sell a lot of these decks. So if you're local and you want a card deck, and I have a 20% off right now because my cat basically he swallowed a sewing needle last week, and so we had to have emergency surgery. And so as a fundraiser, I think the code, I think it's Merlin, I should know, I think it's Merlin 21 in my store for the code. It's either Merlin 20, I think it's Merlin 20 because it's 20% off everything. So it's for another week in an effort to pay his vet bill. What a maniac. Who eats a sewing needle? Oh my gosh. So now I had to like baby proof my house again. But anyway, for those of you with cats or anyone who sews, please keep that in mind. They do eat metal objects, and apparently swallowing sewing needles is like a #1 thing that happens. So I had no idea. I've had cats before, but never had this happen. Okay, so the card that I pulled here is the full moon in Virgo card. Now I know our full moon right now is in Scorpio, but this is the one that came up and reminding us that we're good enough. Yeah, thanks. Merlin's actually okay. He was fine. He was such a trooper. It was very stressful though, because it took me an hour to find a vet within a 2-hour radius that could take him and do the scope surgery where they go in and pull it out. Otherwise he would have had to be cut open, and it would have been like really disaster. And because of COVID, all the vets were full. So I was prepared to drive like to Peterborough, but I ended up getting in at Guelph, thank goodness. But yeah, it was an all-nighter, and it was like having babies when you're up all night with them and emerge. Anyway, it was a bit of drama. He's okay now. He's like, nothing happened. And I'm like, dude, we have this huge vet bill. Like, it's during COVID. It's bad timing. But anyway, I digress. So this card is telling us we are good enough. And so I think, and you know, we all struggle with this. Like, I don't know a human being on the planet that doesn't struggle with feelings of not being worthy, not feeling good enough, whether it's smart enough, pretty enough, whatever it is. We all struggle with our insecurities, and they're unique to us, because if you talk to a friend about, you know, if you're honest with a friend or a loved one about how you're feeling when you're feeling insecure, they're always like, what? You're fine. This is fine. Why is that bothering you? So it's a very personal thing. When we have that feeling of not being good enough, but it is part of who we are. Like, it's a human condition. I have never met anyone that doesn't struggle with this at least once or twice in their life. So this card from Spirit is reminding us that we are good enough. Okay, stop putting so much pressure on yourself. For some of us right now who, you know, I know it's easy to think, okay, it's spring, the sun is shining, everything's lovely, I should be happy, things should be better. But we're in the middle of our third lockdown in Ontario. It's been really stressful. Even though, you know, the vaccine is out there, there's still a lot of questions and things that are up in the air, and a lot of concern. And what I'm finding really kind of heartbreaking is how people aren't having the compassion for other people's choices. Okay? I'm very much all about, you need to choose what's right for your body and what's right for your mind and what's right for your life. And you should have the ability to do that without being judged by other people, or, you know, I don't know. It's just, that's heartbreaking to me. So try to be gentle with one another, because I know it's hard when there's a lot of fear out there, but everyone's doing the best that they can right now. Okay. And we are all good enough, and Spirit's reminding us that. So try to have that loving feeling towards yourself, but also extend it to others, because everybody's struggling right now in their own way, even if it doesn't appear that they are. So I think by going gently and going with compassion and love and trying to understand is good. And if you're having a conversation with someone and it's really triggering you and you're finding you're not able to stay in that compassionate space, you can just say to that person, you know, I love you and care about you, but I can't talk about this right now. It's too hard for me. And this can happen in partnerships too. Like, some people want to talk about what's going on, and other people are like, I don't even want to talk about it. Like, I can't handle it right now. And I've had to say that to my partner. I've had to be like, you know, I can't talk about it today. Like, sorry, it's off the table of discussion. Like, you know, just so sometimes you do need to bury your head in the sand a little bit just to get through the day. So do what feels right for you, but also try to extend that to other people and give them the benefit of the doubt. I think what's happening now with everybody being stressed is there's this tendency to assume that we know someone's intentions, or we assume the reasons behind their actions, and we might be wrong. So I think now more than ever, we need to err on the side of, like, we might not know. So, okay, so I just pulled the Magical Shapeshifter card, which is a really beautiful card. I don't know if you can see this here. I'm getting a bit of a glare on it, but lots of elements in the card here. And the way I read cards, and I've mentioned this before, is I don't always look at the word. I kind of look at what I'm drawn to the most. And it's funny, I'm drawn most to the full moon behind this lady's head. And we are in that full moon right now. And it is a powerful full moon, and I hope that all of you make the most of it. It really is asking us to release our old junk, our old dark stuff, the stuff we haven't wanted to look at, the things we stuff in our closets and under the carpet, and we're like, don't go in there, only look at this nice stuff over here. So you might find that you've been dragged into your emotions, or dragged into your junk, or even stuff from your past of 20 years ago. You might have thought, God, I dealt with this, I dealt with that person, I dealt with all these things. Why is it coming up again? It's coming up again for one last sort of flash in the pan before it's gone forever. Okay, so just acknowledging things, forgiving things, letting things go, because we are literally shape-shifting into a new energy, into a new frequency. And you can't take that old heavy luggage with you. Like, it's like we're going on a plane together, guys, and it's carry-on only. You can't bring that checked bag full of crap. You have to let it go. We're going ultra light. So, you know, bring those lighter things with you, but let go of as much of the heavy stuff as you can. And yeah, like Lori just mentioned, she did a release ceremony last night, clearing and alignment, which is great. Like, whatever way you want to do it, it can be a ritual that you love, that you're drawn to. It can be like that fire I mentioned earlier. Maybe it's having a really nice bath and you just imagine everything leaving your physical body, and when you get out of the tub, it goes down the drain. Like, use visualizations, use your tools, reach out to other people, find out what works for them, try some different things, do multiple things. For me, I like to do a combination of energy work, guided meditation. I like to have a fire to clear stuff. I smudge myself and my home. And this time of year is great to clean out closets and just let go of physical stuff. And that will help lift you up energetically too. Because we all know what it's like when you walk in a room and it's full of clutter. Like, it affects us mentally, emotionally, and physically. And right now I'm dealing with a lot of clutter because I don't have a garage and I'm renovating a trailer. And so right now my kitchen is full of stuff for my electrician that's coming later today. So it's a total gong show in my kitchen. I can't wait to get that stuff out of here because it affects me, and it affects all of us when we have too much stuff. So just going through that and shifting that, but we're going ultra light here. So think of that like we're going on a journey. We want to just light backpack with our stuff so that we can move quickly. You know, when you're carrying a lot of luggage, it's actually like literal, like for those who've traveled and carried too much luggage, you know, when you're on that trip in the first 5 minutes, you're like, God, I have too much stuff, especially if you're hauling it everywhere. You know, do we really need that much stuff? So this card is telling us we are shape-shifting into that new lighter energy. The full moon here, I think that's going to be happening during this moon cycle. So we're still in the energy of the full moon. So make the most of that if you can, if you've got some time over the next couple of days. I think that, you know, we can use these times of this cosmic energy to help us move quickly, rather than doing it this sort of slow, dragging it out way. So I'd say for the next 3 or 4 days would be a great time to do some kind of a clearing if you can work it out in your schedule. Pardon me. Okay, work your light cards. So if the energy has been feeling heavy for you guys, it is going to get lighter, but it might be another couple weeks before you feel it like where you want it to be. So just hang in there, okay? It will get better, but it is, for some of us, it's going to feel a little bit like slogging through marshmallows for the next couple of weeks. But, you know, oh, these cards stuck together, so we're going to do 2. All right. So these 2 cards were stuck together. And I think this is what we're leaving here. Even though we're in spring and winter is gone, it's like this thaw, like we're finally, instead of being frozen still, the sun's coming. We've got all the planets that are affecting us, but the thaw is coming. We're going to start having movement. So for those of you who've been feeling stuck, you're going to start having movement. And then this rose opening, our heart opening, we're going to, some of us have been guarded, some of us have been in fear, you know, where you feel like you can't even make a full decision because you don't know. There's this fear, this, I don't know, what do I do? And so being that closed off. And so the heart opening, this flower opening, you're going to start connecting to your joy again and the things that fill you up and fuel you. So if you feel like you've been disconnected from your creativity or disconnected from your joy or disconnected from your heart, you might not even know what you want. You know, some of you might have gotten out of relationships, or you're not in relationships right now and you're like, I don't even know what I want in my life when I think about it. And so that the energy of this opening rose is going to help you connect to that in a deeper way, because you do need to kind of have an idea of what you want in order for spirit to help you get there. Otherwise, you're just going to be walking in circles. So it's okay to not know everything that you want in the future, but at least have 1 or 2 things. And it might just be a feeling. You might just be like, you know, I just really want more peace. Or I just really want to feel excited about, you know, what I do from a work standpoint. And even if you do love your job or you love your work, sometimes we go through phases where you can get burnt out. Maybe not physically burnt out, maybe mentally, emotionally burnt out. And that's a sign from the universe to take a time out until you're feeling recharged about it again. Because sometimes it's not the thing that we're doing that's causing the feeling of boredom or burnout. Sometimes it's just an energy thing. So you're always better to make those decisions about leaving jobs or leaving relationships or leaving places when you're in a higher frequency. So don't make those decisions when you're, in the dumps. Like, try to get your energy higher. But when you're feeling that way, it is a sign from spirit. They're saying something needs to change here. Something needs to change about the way you're working, or change about the way you're in relationship with this person, or change your environment in order for you to be fulfilled and happy and healthy. Okay? But it's a process. So, and you can always ask spirit for clarity. If you don't have clarity, just ask for clarity. You'll get it. Okay, we're getting Archangel Michael coming in. I was just asking the question, like, okay, what can we do when we're feeling really overwhelmed? Like, we don't know what to do. We need that clarity. Archangel Michael's coming forward, and you can call on him. And he, there's no other way. He's an ass-kicking angel. Okay, I said it. He really moves stuff out of the way. If you're ever afraid, if you ever feel really stuck, he's a great energy to call on. He blazes the trail. It's like if you're in the jungle and you're bushwalking, he'll clear a path for you. And it will sometimes be very, very fast. And he'll also protect you if you ever feel like you're going through something and you need that extra protection or that extra buffer. Call on Archangel Michael. And you will have an experience where you know his energy's with you. You'll either feel it quite physically, or something will shift or happen in your life rather quickly and you'll be like, wow, that was weird. He'll give you some kind of a sign that he's heard your prayer. So definitely reach out to him, especially if you've been struggling. He is always shows up. So, all right, what should we go to next? I'm being drawn to these cards, the Goddess Power Oracle. So let's go to these ones. So I could do this all day. I just looked at the time. I'm like, gosh, it's already 11:40. I do lose track of time when I do this work. That's why, for those of you who've had one-on-one readings with me, I usually have a little bell or a chime that goes off just to remind me what time it is. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. So I pulled this card. It's all about flow. But I'm also drawn to her face, how there's the blue there. And it's like for me, blue is all about emotions and water and feelings. And I feel like for her, she might have been a bit depressed, or a bit like the energy heavy, maybe blocking or clouding her third eye a bit. And she's just been feeling kind of energetically low, like not her normal energy. And this is going to lift as we've got these spring blooms happening. As we get more into late spring and summer, this is going to lift. So if some of you have been feeling that heaviness, like I mentioned earlier, this is sort of a theme of today. It is lifting. It might take another week or two before it feels like it's fully complete. So just be gentle with yourself and do whatever you can to clear your energy and clear your space during this time. But movement will be happening, and I feel like actually I'm getting by the beginning of June, things are going to be kind of really moving quickly for a lot of you. So enjoy this next 5-week lull. If things feel really slow, by June things are going to be speeding up, and then it'll be like go time. So do whatever you need to do during this next month to get yourself back on track. But there will be a lighter feeling there. So if you have been struggling with your emotions, get the help that you need to support yourself at this time, but know that it will pass. You will shift through it. So don't beat yourself up about it too, especially if you're the type of person who's usually go, 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 and then you find yourself just having to stop. That's okay. That's okay. Everybody needs to recharge their batteries. So I'm going to the mermaid deck here. And I'm pulling this card. Which the word on the card is recognition. But I feel like it's about, again, that inner state, about recognizing more things about yourself. Maybe discovering more things that you need. Like maybe you're the type of person and you thought you didn't need downtime. Or you thought you didn't need recognition from another person. You know, you're fine. And then you're finding that as time goes on, you're like, no, I really need that. I really need that affection. I really need that positive reinforcement. I really need to feel that love from somebody else. I really need to feel supported in my life. Or I really need to support myself more. So this is about recognizing also yourself and your own needs and meeting those needs too. And this can be hard for a lot of people, and a little kind of trick that I use with my clients when they're struggling with giving themselves the love that they need is I tell them to imagine themselves as like a 4 or 5 year old child, because you'd absolutely give that child everything that they needed, even if you won't give it to yourself. So imagine that you're working with your younger version of yourself and to give yourself that love or that support or whatever it is you need. So if you struggle with that, because some of us do, then use that little trick of imagining yourself as a little person, as a younger person. You might find that you have more compassion for yourself. All right, Universal Love Deck. So this is that deck I talked about when I was pulling the Magdalene cards at the beginning. So we're gonna go here. We're calling to us. Alrighty. The Gateway. So this is very similar to the shape-shifting card we had and the other one that we had at the beginning that's talking about shifting. We are being asked, to shift basically. And what's happening right now in the world, there's a lot of chaos, okay? It can actually be seen as a total disaster, like the Tower card in the tarot when everybody's jumping out of the tower and they don't know what to do and it looks like absolute disaster. That is absolutely happening. But then we are being asked, and then there's the higher purpose. Like if you go up and out of it and look down on it, you can see how everything's happening in perfect alignment. From the cosmic perspective, it's perfection. Everything is happening as it needs to, and it's very organized and doesn't feel chaotic at all. And then we're somewhere in the middle, but we have a choice whether we can align our energy with that divine perfection and trust and sort of sail through everything smoothly, or we can align our energy down into the fear and the despair and the heaviness and really struggle through the process. So either way, we're shifting into a new energy, but you get to choose how you get through it. So it's almost like we're at a fork in the river and we're in a canoe and we're going to the same destination point, but we choose if we're taking the rocky, bumpy river with rocks or the smooth one that's just going to gently move our canoe along. Now, most of us would say, well, gosh, I want the smooth one. But very often with our choices and our thoughts, we choose the rough path. So both paths will get us there. There's really no right way or wrong way. Some of us find we're on the bumpy path already, but the choice to shift to the other one is there all along the river. Okay, so even if you chose the one you don't want to be on, it doesn't mean you're stuck on that until the end. You can shift. So we're being asked to choose trust, love, faith, acceptance, compassion, and try to move through things from that space. And that can be hard sometimes when we're struggling, especially with finding our faith. But I really feel like anchoring your energy in that love, compassion, and prayer and trust is a great place to be in when things are uncertain in the world. Because if too much of us are aligning into fear and chaos and panic, we're feeding that monster. Okay, fear is a very catchy emotion. If one person in a room is fearful of something, it doesn't take long until the whole room is fearful as well. It's like a wildfire burning. So it takes a lot of presence and a lot of patience and a lot of awareness to be calm in the midst of chaos. And so this card is asking us, we're moving through this, we're shifting through this, and you get to choose how you go through it. So you can go through it in fear and chaos and panic, or you can move through it from that higher frequency of trust, compassion, love, acceptance, faith. Okay, so I know I make it sound really easy, and we're gonna bounce around between these. I know I have. I'm not always up here. I'm up here more than I used to be maybe 20 years ago, but I still, drop down here. But so that's why when you feel yourself dropping down into that lower frequency, or you feel yourself caught up in the fear and the pain and the hurt and all of that, that you need to do something to shift your energy. Because being in that space and trying to change your outer world and everyone in it is not going to happen. The only way to shift through it is to alter yourself. You are the only one you can control. This is the only thing you can control, what's between your ears here. So do whatever you need to do to shift your energy. And as you do that, you'll notice your outer reality starts to shift to mirror how you've changed. So it's sort of a backwards way of thinking, but honestly, try it. The next time things out here seem too much, do something for yourself to realign yourself, whether it's a physical activity, meditation, whatever works for you. There's no one size fits all solution. It's whatever shifts your energy, gets it in a better place. Maybe putting songs you love on the radio and dancing with your cat around your living room, or your dog, or your kids, or whatever, or doing something creative, whatever works, gardening, all that stuff. But shift your energy up. And once it's up a bit higher, allow everything around you to change. And for those of you who live with other people, this is especially important. You need to shift yourself first, and then you'll find your relationships change. How people interact with you will change. Sometimes if I'm off and I'm having an off day and I go out in the world, it's like everything that could go wrong goes wrong. And then I know, gosh, I have to take a minute and just recenter. And it doesn't mean that I run home and lock the door and meditate for 2 hours. Sometimes it's just getting in your car and just breathing and just reconnecting, and even just calling on Archangel Michael or Spirit and saying, I need help. Please help me with this. Help realign my energy so that this is less chaotic. Whatever you need to do. But just understand that we're all connected. And so you could be feeling great, and then you go to the grocery store and it's full of everyone who's afraid, and then you come home and you're off your groove. It's because you're in an energetic soup with everyone. And if you go in that grocery store and you can hold that place of love and peace and just sort of off gas that as you shop, you're going to positively affect everyone in that environment too. So it's just asking us to be more aware of our state, of our energy state, and of our mind and our consciousness. And we are in control of that. We're in control of ourselves. So if you're having a hard time because what's happening out there is not controllable, and other people are certainly never controllable, you can only take care of this. And if we all started here and realigned ourselves today, then we wouldn't need to look outward and try to fix anything, because we would all just come into alignment perfectly. Okay, so it really is about focusing on yourself first, and then the outer world second. Like that airplane analogy, take the oxygen first for yourself, then help other people. Because if you're on the ground, you're not going to be able to be very, very helpful. All right, last card of the day, and then we'll go to the angel wing cards. Okay, so I feel like today's a bit heavy. Hopefully it doesn't feel that way to you guys. I do feel things are getting lighter, but I just wanted to acknowledge the heaviness that some of us have been feeling. So the forgiveness card. Okay, and I really feel this is about, sometimes forgiveness comes up when we really need to forgive other people. I feel like this card is coming up so that we can forgive ourselves. I find that most of us are really hard on ourselves, and we feel like, oh, I should have gotten through that this way, or I should have done it this way, or I should be doing more of this. And I really feel, especially right now with this past year we've had, and people have had more downtime, and maybe they've had more spare time, and they're like, oh, I should really be doing this and that and feeling better about this, and I'm not working right now, and I should be feeling great and doing all these things, or I am working right now, or I started a new business and this. And we have all these sort of expectations on ourselves and shoulds that we like to give ourselves. And this card is saying, you know what, just let that stuff go. Just forgive yourself and be like, you know what, I'm okay with where I am right now. Maybe it's not where I want to be. Maybe it's not perfect, but I'm here. And so I can make a different choice tomorrow to shift things, but you don't have to do a 360. Okay, when you're trying to shift something in your life, I mean, I know I've done this in my life where I'm like, that's it, tomorrow I'm gonna like stop eating chocolate and walk like 10 kilometers a day or whatever it is. And then we set ourselves up for failure. So forgive yourself, first of all, for anything you need to forgive yourself for. Just find some time over the next couple days and just do that, and really do it in a deep, honest way. Really let that stuff go. And then if you want to make change, that's great. But start off with baby steps first. Make your goals really tiny, okay? I had a teacher, she called them micro goals, and I thought that's the perfect word for it, micro goals. You know, don't have a list of 50 things. Start with 5. Check those off, and then gradually grow your list, or grow bigger with your expectations on yourself. So be gentle with yourself, start really small, and then work your way up. But definitely forgiveness of yourself here first. And yes, this will expand out to other people, but we really need to take care of that forgiveness of ourselves first in order to be able to truly forgive somebody else. Because very often if you're mad at someone else, or you know you've had you can't forgive someone else, very often the root of it is not being able to forgive yourself for your choices, for not knowing, or whatever it is. But very often if you follow that trail to the root of the feeling, it's usually rooted in ourselves. So Spirit's saying, you know what, it's okay. We're not perfect, okay? We do all kinds of crazy things. But it's time to forgive yourself. It's time to let that go. It's time to stop punishing yourself, or beating yourself up, or hating yourself, or not loving yourself enough. We're human beings. We're imperfect. We are all imperfect human beings, okay? It's okay that we're not perfect, and it's okay to forgive yourself. So I hope, and I'm gonna do the angel cards before I go, but I hope that if some of you have been feeling heavy, if you've been depressed, if you've had anxiety, if you've been beating yourself up, I hope that after today that you give yourself permission to be a little more gentle, and also to try to extend that to others right now. Because I think that you know, people when they're angry, upset, or frightened, they are not their best selves. And so you know, sometimes people can say or do things that are not the greatest when they're coming from a dark place. So try to understand that and not take things too personally right now, because I think it's really easy to do that. And just so maybe cultivate some like widen your understanding. Just cut people some slack, I guess. All right, so I'm gonna pull 3 angel cards I usually end with. There's a silver wing, a gold wing, and then 2 circles, which represent how the energy is gonna manifest. So we've got the silver wing card. It says, learn the secret power of metals. Metals, I guess, like gold, silver, whatever kind of metal. So maybe just learn more about that, because some of us with our horoscope signs, we have certain metals that we have an affinity to. Maybe you feel better when you're wearing gold or silver, or just look into this and see what the properties are and what the elements are. And even with your astrology, you might find that there's something there that you learn about that's helpful. The next card is acquire physical or mental strength. Okay, so I guess for some of us, maybe more physical things, and mental strength, that's just, you know, becoming stronger in your mind, not letting your mind overtake you. And I find making lists and setting goals and things like that help me with my mental strength. But again, micro goals, like don't go too big with those. The key is April and knowing when to let go. Okay, so we're in April right now, and it's all about letting go. We're going to be in May soon. So make the most of these last days of April, because I feel like we are to leave all of this heavy stuff in April, okay? And so that May it can be about cultivating that new energy we want to move into, so that we can really enjoy that over the summer. So big hug to all of you who've been struggling. I feel it. I've been feeling the energy. This is the hardest lockdown for me. I've been feeling that collective energy, and it has been quite heavy. So I've been hermiting more than I ever have, just to kind of help process through it. I am sending free distance Reiki tonight. I do it every Tuesday night. So on my Instagram, you can just sign up in the comments by saying yes if you'd like to receive it. What else do I have going on? Practical intuition this Friday. We're going to be talking about medicine plants, or the weeds in your backyard, and how you can use those to help with different things. And yeah, guys, just hang in there, try to have fun as much as you can during this time. And if you're having a bad day, have the bad day. Don't beat yourself up for it. If you're in your pajamas all day and you Netflix binge maybe for 3 days or whatever, well, just do it. But then on the third day, have a shower and get outside, okay? But don't beat yourself up. Just do what you have to do to get through right now. All right? Okay, guys, I love you. I will see you in 2 weeks, hopefully in the trailer. Like right now, it's under construction, but cool things are happening there. Okay, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, and enjoy the weekend, and enjoy the full moon energy we're still in. Okay, bye, guys.